Good morning. How are you? It's a beautiful day. We're in the 90s today, so we got kind of a scorcher on our hands. I got a kick out of how many of you are swimmers or interested in swimming. Late today, I may go for a swim again, and I won't be doing a swim and talk. I don't know if you've ever tried to put on earphones when you swim or something. It just never worked for me. It's more annoying than pleasant. And the quiet of swimming is, I don't know, that meditation is part of what's good about swimming. So, returning to the womb. Okay, for those not interested in swimming, I apologize, but it's a great release finally to get back in the water yesterday evening, and I'll do it again this evening, I think. Meanwhile, I'm writing a lot, so this is my break. In the news, there are a number of things happening, but one that's close at home, which I mentioned before, which is becoming the signal way that Republicans appear to be approaching this campaign year, even though it's not a presidential campaign year. I was looking for social media leverage points rather than addressing the fact that the Republicans are a do-nothing Congress, and in the state legislatures, they're not only doing nothing, they're also trying to suppress the vote and to stamp down any possible reform that would deal with equality among the races, people of different religions, etc. So, e pluribus unum is not a motto you're going to find on the doorway to your local Republican clubhouse. And that's a shame. That's not always been true. And in fact, it is the party that seemed to do the most, starting with Lincoln, while Democrats were on the wrong side of the issue. And how they flipped around just shows you something about the unpredictability of man in particular. So what are the issues? Number one, and we have to answer this, they're running around saying the election was stolen, and so they're trying to imprint all Democrats and anybody associated with a Democratic candidate who might be independent or so forth, with the idea that Democrats steal elections. So watch out. And any rules we have that either we did change or that they are resisting, it's because they want to cheat. So they're flipping the truth on its head because plainly, with their numbers in the polling, they can't win without cheating. So that's number one. But another one is to play the race card in another way, which is to talk about critical race thinking as an example of us favoring a negative view of America and helping persons of color take over America with extreme views and to the detriment of boys and girls in school who are being taught that somehow or other they are inferior. And this is coming out of the county where I live, by the way. We have a school that is right of Genghis Khan, which houses these religious zealots who seek to import their values of religion to the exclusion of other values of religion into the school system. And so we've been having fights that have made it to the national news. It's the front cover of the Washington Post today. But we're going to see it in campaigns across the country because they're going to use this election in New Jersey and in Virginia as test cases for what might work in the midterms. So they're doing this question about are we brainwashing our children and the public by talking about what actually in history did happen. So that's an issue. And you probably don't see any problem with that, but being silent is going to allow them to gain ground statistically. First impressions count. The other thing that really drives them crazy, which they posit as religion, is the notion of people with different sex orientations, transgender, LGBTQ, treating people as equal. They want the, quote, liberty to prejudice. They want the liberty to prejudge individuals to their detriment, to deny them equal opportunities. And when you see the pictures of these groups, it's always white people. A lot of white men, but also white women. And as a sidebar to this issue, we're seeing more, we're not seeing the violence, we're seeing the organization and training for preparedness for violence. There was an incident in which they stopped people on a highway, and they were full dress uniforms and everything, and they were going to training, and they didn't want to comply with any of the local laws, and they disappeared into the woods. Right here in Loudoun County, we have these people as well, and elected officials who went up to DC for January the 6th. So, will it amount to nothing? We can't assume that. I think if we're on guard and we don't assume, oh, that's so funny, we don't have to say anything about it. If we take the other course and call them out and call out our elected officials who do this on the one hand and on the other hand thing, we increase the chances of two things happening. One is that Virginia will be a case study in how we've overcome this kind of bad, racist, discriminatory, white-oriented kind of politics. I mean, white to the exclusion of everybody else. And we'll have practice by what we have to do on election day and what we have to do in the campaigns for what we're going to have to do in the midterms. I think the best thing that we could be doing is shedding sunlight on what happened on January the 6th. What the New York Times did about the rioters, we need to do more of that on the players that made it possible, who underwrote the event, who were on the Hill and helped, who were in the White House and helped, and this includes none other than he whose name we'd rather not talk about. So that's kind of my thinking today, and those of you who asked if we're going to do this underwater, we're not. I can't imagine how clumsy that would be. But have a good day, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye-bye.